Spendthrift Farm Stallions. First 2-year-olds on the track by Golden Sense, Cross Traffic, It's My Lucky Day, Can the Man, and Shaking It Up, including Cross Traffic's impressive black type winner, Jaywalk, who recently captured the White Clay Creek Stakes at Delaware Park. Spendthrift, the breeder's farm.
Hi everybody, Dan Illman along with Nicole Russo. Welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift. Let's take a look at this field on Thursday. It's the P.G. Johnson Stakes, carded as race number 9. It's also your DRF race of the day, which means you can access free Formulator Pass performances on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post-position order. You'll note that Spendthrift, our sponsor, has Guacamole in here, a daughter of Spendthrift stallion, Flat Out. And Guacamole is already graded stakes placed on the dirt. She's entered main track only for the P.G. Johnson, but she's already done some nice things for Flat Out, a Spendthrift stallion. We'll begin with the number 1, Dog Tag. This is a daughter of Warfront, going out for Chad Brown, still a maiden in the second lifetime start. But boy, talk about a turf pedigree. This horse has been crying out for the grass.
Yeah, obviously, and I mean, you just hit the nail on the head that debut where she ran decently was off the turf, so the intent clearly there, and why not, by the successful international sire Warfront, who's very good with his 2-year-olds from a European type female family. That's the family of the multiple Group 1 winner Shamardal.
Also the family of Street Cry, just a lot of class, a lot of turf in this pedigree. It's Javier Castellano, it's Chad Brown. This horse showed some speed in the debut, draws a cozy inside post, and probably is going to work out a nice trip. The number 2, Road Tiger, is cross-entered in a stakes race at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. But if she runs here, she'd be coming off of a nice win at Ellis Park. And you've been absolutely correct. The Ellis Park program for 2-year-olds is very underrated, and it's very good. And here's Road Tiger just taking over the lead, getting a little bit green in the stretch with her lead changes, but a really solid score.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned that greenness, and that's definitely the sort of thing a horse can move forward from as they start to figure out the racing game a little bit. Yeah, I really love the Ellis 2-year-old program, along with a couple of others around the country. I think it's a really underrated program that's been consistently producing some very nice horses. This one, a lot of turf in the family. By Quality Road, of course, you think of him more for his dirt runners. He was a dirt runner himself, but the son of Elusive Quality has produced turf runners like the good 2-year-old Hootenanny. This is the immediate family of Gypsy Robin, who was very fleet-footed, grade 3 winning synthetic sprinter. It's a pretty nice family and some route ability in there as well, I think.
Guacamole we discussed by Spendthrift stallion Flat Out, entered for main track only. So we'll move to the 4, Miss Technicality, who was also cross-entered at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. Let's go back to her career debut. This is a daughter of Gio Ponte. I like this performance. She is in those dark silks, the number 4, in behind horses. And a lot of times these 2-year-olds are going to show blazing speed and simply just are more brilliant than their opponents. This horse was able to sit behind horses. She came on the outside, and it's mostly hands and heels urging under Joel Rosario to be 2 next out winners. Good performance.
Very good performance, and especially, before this clip that we just saw, she actually hit the gate at the start. A lot of horses, young horses who are very inexperienced might have thrown in the towel after that, but she really kicked on nicely and professionally. She's by Gio Ponte, who you would certainly think he would sire, 2-turn turf types. Haven't necessarily seen that from him yet. His best runner to date is champion sprinter Drapong. Kind of a very interesting stud career he's building for himself, but a lot of route ability and turf ability on the bottom side of the page as well. This is a half to grade 3 winner, Stays in Vegas, who was a very good 2-year-old, multiple stakes winning 2-year-old. Further back, it's a Phipps family, persistently good reward, and others. Heavenly Prize, now a Hall of Famer as well.
This filly has a lot going for her, as well as this formulator fact for the great trainer Clement. Over the past 4 years, with debut winning 2-year-olds returning in their second start on turf, 44% winners and almost a $3 ROI. We'll see if she runs in the P.G. Johnson or waits for the race at Kentucky Downs on Saturday. The 5 is O'Malley, and O'Malley is a daughter of More Than Ready, who handled turf very nicely in her initial grass outing. This was at Delaware Park, and I like the way she won this race. She was up close to moderate splits. She took over. She did everything right. She just didn't run run very fast, a 49 buyer, but when you look at this pedigree, boy, I think it's a little too early to just give up on her.
Yeah, and it very much screams turf by More Than Ready, who's been such a good turf sire over the course of his career out of a Mizzen masked mare. Of course, More Than Ready, particularly good with his turf 2-year-olds, Breeders' Cup winners like Rushing Fall, Pluck, More Than Real. O'Malley came out of a pretty strong, I thought, 5.5 furlong synthetic maiden in which the winner came back to win next out and then scored that win you just saw when stretched out to 7.5 furlongs on the turf at Delaware. I definitely think there's a lot of ability here.
Family of Ascutney, the Dam of Ravens Pass, lots of turf, lots of distance. I think this filly will improve, but she catches a tough spot at the Spa on Thursday. Global Exchange is the number 6. This is a $90,000 yearling. Now, she's still a maiden, but she goes out for Jimmy Toner, who's just such a crafty trainer, especially with turf horses. He must think a lot of this filly to put her in this stakes race as a maiden, and we're going to watch her debut, and she was kind of in behind horses. She's in that green cap right now, and you see she's going to end up being pinched a little bit and in behind, and with all that trouble, she's only going to be beaten a length. I think this extra distance is going to help her out. She's a daughter of the rock-solid Exchange Rate.
Yeah, and Exchange Rate, another one who's a very good 2-year-old sire, a good multi-surface sire, broodmare sire, Dynaformer, definitely adds some stamina. I think that, the distance will help her, as you just referenced. And, Exchange Rate over Dynaformer has been a very productive cross. It's produced horses like Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Sunset Glow and some others.
Lots of black type in this family. The Third Dan, the Grade 1 stakes winner, and the Millionaire, the very classy Gorgeous. The number 7 is Minted. This filly has competed in Ireland 4 times already as a 2-year-old, a private purchase since her most recent race in which she finished second to a nice horse. Land Force then came out of that race to win a Group 2. Minted has yet to race beyond 6 furlongs. And the question for you is, do you think she's got enough pedigree to get this distance off a little bit of a layoff? I'm not too familiar with her stallion, Olympic Glory.
Well, Olympic Glory, I think, a pretty fleet-footed horse who can sire a decent sprinter. You see the broodmare sire Ravens Pass there, who, of course, won the Breeders' Cup Classic and some other nice events. I think there is, at the very least, middle distance ability in this family. A lot, you see the second and third dam are stakes performing turf routers in Europe. But yeah, off the layoff, I think this filly is landed in a tough spot to try stretching out.
It's Arad Ortiz, it's Chad Brown, first time Lasix. Minted will take some money. Chasing the Kitty is the number 8. This is a daughter of Kitten's Joy out of a Dynaformer mare. Talk about turf. Well, she liked synthetic pretty well in her career debut, winning off by almost 11 lengths. The buyer came back light, but as we've said so many times, these fillies are improving by leaps and bounds from day to day, and this is just a tremendous pedigree for turf on the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. The dam was placed on turf over in Europe where the competition's so tough. The dams have to catch the Thrill, who was a champion in Canada. Of course, a lot of those horses have multi-surface ability. This one did so well going a mile. And as we've referenced, Kitten's Joys, they like to go long. Dynaformer adding some more distance capability. I certainly think this one's going to appreciate the trip.
And also going out for a very hot barn, our formulator fact for trainer Adam Rice over the past 30 days, 4 for 11, an $11.07 return on investment. Varenka's the number 9. This is a maiden. She is a daughter of Ghost Sapper, but this is one of my favorite female families. Just talk about turf and route. Lift Up, she's a full sister to. I've been very impressed with some of the work Lift Up has done this year. Varenka's a half to Dynamic Holiday, 4 other black type earners. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this filly has just been waiting to stretch out in distance for the very good Graham Motion.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jimmy Toner has to have, is very cagey with these turf horses and must have confidence to run a maiden in the spot. Graham Motion is the same type of trainer where he's not going to run just to run. I have to believe he's seen something from Varenka that makes this spot worthwhile. This one, you mentioned that female family, a homebred from George Strawbridge's very good program, and this one picking up John Velasquez was third in her debut, but finished behind a next out winner. So yeah, quite a bit to like there, I think.
And a main contender on the outside is Chocolate Kisses. This horse won second time out, utilizing the dirt to turf sprint to route move from Mark Casse. We'll take a look at that race right now. She sat on the outside of her coupled stablemate Toy Moon. She's in the pink silks with the black cap. She makes the lead. She starts drifting out a little bit in the stretch, but she wins very solidly and with a good buyer speed figure of 70. This is a $410,000 yearling purchase and a half to Synchrony, who's a very good turf runner.
Yeah, grade 2 winning turf router. Both of those out of Brownie Points, who's a graded stakes winner herself. Knocked heads with the likes of Zenyatta and Ginger Punch during her career. A really tough race mare. This one finished second on debut sprinting at Churchill Downs, and an off the turf maiden, the Frog, who I thought fairly highly of. Then, as you mentioned, stretched out, moved to turf where she belonged all along, and took that step forward. So certainly a logical contender.
A little bit of everything in our Thursday Spa Baby event. We've got maidens from really shrewd barns that obviously like their horses a lot. We've got horses that are stretching out in distance, horses that have already won at the distance. Where are you going?
You know what? I think this is a really well-matched field. There's a lot of horses you could make a case for. And in a well-matched field like that, I'm going to take a swing at some value. Dog tag down toward the inside. You don't get Shad Brown and Javier Castellano on the turf at 6-1 on the morning line very often. And this one figures. I think she's meant for turf, ran decently in her off-the-turf debut by Warfront from the family of Shamardal. That family can certainly get you a good 2-year-old, should appreciate stretching out. A lot of the logical contenders toward the outside. You mentioned Chocolate Kisses. I do think, as I said, Varenka is not a horse I'm going to leave out of exotics. I think she's there for a reason for Grand Motion, and O'Malley and Miss Technicality, if she runs, are two I think you have to respect. I
think Dog Tag's going to work out a nice trip. I have to use her in any kind of multiple race wager. I'm curious to see what we get from the European import Minted, first time Lasix for Chad Brown, to see if she is ready to go this distance off the layoff. I think I'll land there. I'm going to pick her over Chocolate Kisses, who I think will get the jump on Minted, turning into the stretch. I'm going to go 7-10 1 and 6 in the PG Johnson Stakes, our Thursday race of the day, as well as our Spa Baby event presented by Spendthrift.